Well, hey, hot mamas. Welcome to Crazy Sexy Menopause, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you don't know me and you're new here, my name is Betty, and I create content around menopause that educates pre-peri and postmenopausal women on how to live more vibrantly through better applications of my 3 keys of mindset, meals, and movement. My guest today is, in a word, amazing. Kiki is retired, so she says, and president and founder and editor-in-chief and CEO of BlackHistoryEveryday.com, where she posts a new diverse fact every day. You can also find Black History Every Day on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Alexa Skill. Kiki is a member and co-producer of the Elder Pride podcast that helps older LGBTQ folks and those who love them age forward with grace and ease. Kiki is a member of the National Association of Black Journalists and the National Association of Lesbian and Gay Journalists. She's a former editor-in-chief of 9 Black weekly newspapers in the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area and has written hundreds of op-eds for the HuffingtonPost.com and is syndicated in daily newspapers through the Progressive Media Project. Kiki has also produced weekly public affairs shows on the local CBS-owned and operated station and is the former Director of Communications. Now, if that isn't enough, Kiki is also a postmenopausal mom of 2. Now, Paul E. Pratt, award-winning journalist, says, Kiki is a rare combination of magnetic personality, skilled orator, and imaginative storyteller. She serves as a prolific voice for numerous underrepresented intersectional communities. Not only is Kiki an insightful, socially aware advocate and highly polished journalist, she is also passionate, well-connected, and widely respected, ensuring the stories that she tells reach the broadest audience possible. Truly a one-of-a-kind talent and human. And I couldn't agree more. The interview you're about to see is courageous. It's heartwarming. It's funny at times and heartrending at others, but it's unvarnished in its honesty and delivered with love and heart. Please enjoy. Hello, Kiki, and welcome to Crazy Sexy Menopause.
Hi, Betty. Thank you, and thanks to Paul, and thanks for doing your research on me. That was great.
You're very welcome. Well, let's get started. We are at, is it Morecambe?
Yes.
Morecambe the Amphitheater of Roses. So I don't know if we're going to get to see any of these roses. This is new for me. Maybe I can turn the camera around.
Yeah, why don't you turn the camera around? Because it's beautiful here.
These are some gorgeous, gorgeous roses. We're in Oakland, California, the Oakland Municipal Rose Garden. So
that was the original name, and this Morecambe Amphitheater of Roses is the newer name. Pre-COVID, and right when COVID started, I would come here a lot because it wasn't as crowded as the other places, and people were wearing masks even though it was outdoors.
Yeah.
And it has steps. So there are 3 sets of steps to walk. So that was a good training.
Yeah, I love this place. I know when I first came, I was like, oh, stairs. This is really cool.
Yeah.
It's not that big, But the stairs really make it a good workout.
Right, and then you can.
It's uphill.
It's uphill, and you can do the steps several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came here with my daughter and her boyfriend, and it was one of the few places I could get them to walk with me.
Oh.
And they hadn't been here before, which is good.
Oh, that's nice.
And we could do the stairs, although one of them wanted to run the stairs, which I wasn't willing to do, but I walk the stairs.
I hear you. Why run when you can walk?
Yeah, that's always a good one.
That's how I feel.
And just beautiful. I mean, it's well maintained. The roses are really beautiful, and then they have other flowers as well.
Yeah.
And I like to walk outdoors in nature and see all the beauties and count the squirrels.
Lots of squirrels.
Squirrels and other animals, lots of birds.
This is really beautiful. Wait a minute, let me just turn around. As you can see, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And there's a little body of water over here.
There is.
Tiffany.
Yo, Tiffany.
Tiffany, 1954. That was the year I was born.
Okay. That was the year my brother was born.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now what year were you born?
I was born in 57.
Oh, okay.
No offense to 54, but 57 is the best year.
I think my sister was born in 57.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's a great year.
Yeah. Well.
I know. Yeah. 54 is the second best year.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. You're funny. So now you have 2 children.
I do.
A daughter and a son, right?
Mm-hmm. I do.
So, were you menopausal while you were while your children were teenagers?
Let's see. I was menopausal, I think, before they were teenagers.
Oh, okay.
Well, first of all, both of my children joined our family through adoption.
Oh, okay.
So I was in my 40s before my oldest daughter joined the family. I was an older mother, as they say.
Older mother.
I was. Is this right? Yeah, I was 44.
Okay.
The year my daughter was born.
Okay.
And I can actually remember at times having horrific night sweats. Mm-hmm. And my son, when he was 5 or 6, mm-hmm. getting in the bed with me and my then wife, who is younger than I, so mm-hmm. Fortunately, she and I were not menopausal at the same time, but I know, double trouble. But I had a horrific case of night sweats, uh-huh. and he got in the bed, and I remember him asking if someone had urinated in the bed.
Oh, no!
And I was like, no, son, but I don't think you want to know what's going on, because we didn't urinate. It's from sweat, and it's because one of your mothers is menopausal.
Oh my gosh, that is too funny. I never thought of that.
Yeah, yes.
Oh goodness. Well, children say the darndest things.
They do. But I can remember, I definitely when my daughter started her period, mm-hmm. I fortunately was through.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I just remember one time, and this is her other mother and I were separated and divorced, and mm-hmm. she came over to my house and asked for some tampons, and I'm like,
oh, here
nope,
it comes.
Nope,
no,
I don't keep those anymore, but I guess I will have to now because of you.
Right? Yeah. Oh my goodness. What's going on with some of the work that you're doing in the LGBT community? Because you're extremely active in that community.
I am. One, I'm a part of the community, so mm-hmm. That's one thing. Right. And the organization that I'm a part of is called Elder Pride.
Okay.
And it's an organization for basically to help teach grace and ease in getting older for people in the LGBTQ plus community, and that's defined as people over 60, and for those who love us. So it's not...
That would be me.
Yes, yes. Absolutely. So, formerly known as allies, but, Reverend Jack Elliott, who founded Elder Pride, that's what he... that's how he defines it, as, for LGBTQ plus people 60 and over and those who love us. So it's very inclusive. And we're all about, and this is, partly, what your channel is about too, is like talking openly about these things that happen to us when we get older. You're talking about menopause and crazy sexy menopause, and we talk about menopause and much more, and going to the doctor, not going to the doctor alone, even if you have to take a friend with you or a friend by telephone, and discussing all of the things that happen to us when we get older and how we can age gracefully. Yes. And with ease.
Age gracefully and live vibrantly.
Definitely live vibrantly.
That's what we're all about. And one way of living vibrantly is getting out and moving that body.
Moving that body every day.
Yes.
I mean, that's really important. That's what I used to have when I was younger, a very sedentary life, and years without moving my body when I was younger.
Let's walk up these stairs.
Okay. And I don't know, and this is really funny, I've never walked up these stairs.
Oh, really?
Wait a minute. Yes, I have. I have walked up these stairs. Okay. There are 3 sets of stairs. I was just turned around.
Okay.
I don't know whether you know this about me, Betty, but there was a time in the not too distant past that I was... Are we going up those steps?
Oh, we can walk up those stairs.
It's up
and then come back down.
You're the leader.
No, you know this spot better than I do.
Yes, I do, but you saw how I got turned around. That's actually something else about getting older.
That's true.
One of the things that I do is I really try to take my time, because sometimes I do get a little confused or not. I don't remember how to do stuff.
Yeah.
Particularly with technology, I think, and things that I've done before. But what I was going to tell you is there was a time when I was very sedentary and weighed 250 pounds more than I weigh now.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so I didn't know whether you knew that.
No. What?
Yes.
So you are to be celebrated. Wow.
Yeah. I used to read in People magazine. They would have, I don't know whether you've seen these things, they would have these things that where people lost more than 100 pounds.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would look at those things and say, that's going to be me.
Really?
Even though I knew needed to lose way more than 100 pounds.
And you did it. How did you do it?
Well, I did it in a few ways. I started to lose weight, but I also had gastric bypass surgery.
Oh.
And for those who don't know, because sometimes I think people think gastric bypass is liposuction, or it just melts the fat away.
Right.
And it doesn't.
Right.
And there are different types, but what mine did was literally made my stomach smaller.
Okay.
So that I couldn't I wouldn't eat as much, and I couldn't digest as much. But even before I had the surgery, I had to do lots of work, and I had to lose a certain amount of weight before I had the surgery. And eventually I lost, I think I said early 250 pounds.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I don't know how much weight I lost because I got to a point in my life where I stopped weighing myself.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to hit certain marks. I believe at one time I probably was over 500 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. But I never weighed myself at that, and I never went to the doctor and was weighed.
Oh, okay.
Either at that time.
Now, how do we get back down to the garden?
We can go back down here, yeah.
Okay. The downhill is always good.
Downhill's good. Downhill's good.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, getting out of the street.
Yeah, get out of the street. So talk to me a little bit about the gastric bypass process. What did you had to get in? What did you have to do to prepare for the surgery?
Oh my goodness. Well, one, lots of meetings with my doctor.
Okay.
Meetings with a nutritionist. Lots of meetings. Therapy.
Okay.
I went through the program at Stanford.
Oh, okay.
And I went through the program at Stanford because at that time, and I think it still is, it's been 12 years, I think now.
Oh.
12 years ago. At that time, Stanford had no fatalities. So that's why I went through the program, because years before I had a friend who did gastric bypass, and it was successful, and she started losing weight, but within a year she had developed an issue with her gallbladder and went back in for surgery and unfortunately died.
Oh no.
Yeah, so when I was researching places, I only wanted to go places that had,
a success rate.
A high success rate, a very high success
Exactly.
rate. Also, the head of the program was from Alabama, and I had grown up in Alabama. So I don't know, that was that and the no fatalities. I'm going to hold on to the rail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you in the shot. Okay.
So, I actually first started out at Kaiser, and Kaiser had a certain amount of weight that you had to lose.
What was that?
I think it depended on each person, but I think that they wanted me to lose 75 pounds before I could even be considered for the program.
Oh, okay.
So, one, that didn't work for me because could I lose 75 pounds? Yes. Over the years, I had lost 75 pounds and gained 100. No, gained more. So that didn't work for me. But once I started talking to people at Stanford, they as they were monitoring you, you just couldn't gain weight. Was their main thing. And I liked that we were meeting with nutritionists. So the first part, and therapists. Okay. Because I had to realize that I was addicted to food, and unlike other addictions, when you're addicted to alcohol, if you choose to get into a program, you have to totally give up alcohol. Right. Obviously, you're not going to totally give up food, right? But you have to change the way you relate to food. Yeah. And so part of that was also therapy, and talking about how I related to food in the past and what I would do in terms of secret eating, and I'll just share some of the things. Like, I would go to the grocery store and let's say I'd buy 3 big bags of Oreos, or big bags of chips, and then I would tell the the teller, the checkout person, oh yeah, I'm having a party, and all this. Not that they would even know anything,
right?
But,
or care,
or care. But in my mind, they were judging me because I was fat, and I wanted them to know that I wasn't buying all of this stuff for me. I was buying it for a party. But of course, I was buying it all for me.
Yeah,
I was buying it all for me, and eating in secret. Doing secret eating and keeping food in my car and consuming it, not bringing it into the house when I lived with other people. So things like that. And the therapy really helped me identify, my eating. So the program was good for me on many levels other than the surgery. And interestingly enough, I had some other medical issues, like I had sleep apnea, and that was attributed to my weight. And it was really interesting. I had lost weight before the surgery, but I was in the hospital for 2 days, and they had me bring my nasal CPAP. But they discovered that I no longer had sleep apnea.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know whether it was because of the weight that I'd already lost. But the other interesting thing that happened to me hormonally, I hadn't had it, speaking of menopause, I had not had a period in 2 years before my surgery. While I was in the hospital, my period started.
What?
And I don't know, you may have heard of something like that. After 2 years, I had never heard of anything like that.
No, I haven't. I know that there's amenorrhea of women who are, athletic, who lose their menses, but not this case.
And that had happened to my daughter, who was a gymnast.
Okay.
And a lot of her, when she was in heavy training, a lot of her friends, the same thing, or it's almost like they're it was arrested for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you saw a lot of that in girls with the particularly Olympics.
Yeah, actually my youngest daughter as well. She was actually all of my children were scholar athletes in track and field, and she experienced amenorrhea as well.
Okay.
So
but this was wild to not have had a period for 2 years, and then being in the hospital, and my period started. Now it didn't last long, and it wasn't, as I recall, just a couple of days, and it was very thin, and the doctors didn't seem to really know anything about it. And then but
now, were you perimenopausal at that time?
Okay, so remind me what.
Okay, so perimenopause is the time where your periods begin to get less and less, and that's the period between premenopause and postmenopause.
Okay.
So when you have your periods, they're regular, and there's no problems, that's premenopause.
Okay.
Perimenopause is then when your periods, you start to see them, they're erratic, and then you have the night sweats,
right,
and all of the other symptoms of that are associated with the menopause spectrum.
No, because I had not had a period for 2 years.
Okay.
No period for 2 years. I had gone through the perimenopause period that you start, because my periods were very regular.
Yeah.
And then I would say I was close to 50, and then that's when I was in perimenopause.
Okay.
And then by age 53, they had stopped entirely.
Okay.
And then I go into the hospital for gastric bypass surgery in the morning. Overnight, the next night, I'm like, what is this? I started my period.
Wow.
After 2 years of not having a period.
Oh my
Now
God.
it lasted maybe a couple of days and was very light, and then I haven't had anything since then.
Okay. Wow. I know. How did you feel?
I'm like, what is going on?
Exactly.
I'm not prepared. And I asked the doctors, and they didn't know. I just assumed that somehow there was some hormonal thing that was happening, as my body continued to change.
Right.
At that point, I had lost maybe at least between 80 and 100 pounds, and things were changing. Still lots of weight to lose. By the time that I had the surgery, I was still over 400 pounds, and then they were weighing me. It's like there were two of us then, at least.
So, how are you now?
Well, like most, I feel
it's been several years.
Yeah, it's been more than a decade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. So I got down at one point lower than I should have. This is like a problem that we all should have. That my doctor said that I needed to gain weight. I know. Yeah, I got down to 178 pounds. And
how tall are you?
Well, at the time, because that's the other thing that happens when we get older, we shrink. At the time, I was 5'11".
Okay.
And now I'm 5'9" and a half. At the time I was 5'11", but I have a large frame, and I have pictures of when I was 178 pounds, and I was definitely too thin, and I didn't look healthy.
Okay.
So then my doctors gave me a range that I should stay between 190 and 210 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Which I did for many years, and then the pandemic happened, and I, like a lot of people, put on weight, but I didn't gain that much.
Okay.
But I didn't gain back to pre-gastric bypass by any means.
Right.
But I was over and am over the 210.
Okay.
But now, as we speak, I'm 18 pounds away from my 210 goal.
Oh, okay.
So I started, after gaining the weight, I started losing, and by walking.
Okay.
By walking and watching what I eat. So
there you go.
a year ago, I was challenged by a friend who was turning 65 in 2022, when I was 64, and she challenged each of us to walk 5 miles a day.
Okay.
And I took that challenge.
And you took the challenge.
I took the challenge, and as did she. And we had two other friends who were younger than us. So my one friend who started the challenge lives in Detroit.
Okay.
And then we had another friend who at the time lived in South Africa, in Johannesburg. And another friend who was between Jamaica and London.
Okay.
And we would all keep up with each other's steps, do contests through Fitbit, decide, okay, in this hour, let's see what we can walk. And we'd obviously have to coordinate because of the times.
Yeah.
But we'd have fun and encourage one another.
Nice.
So I did that for a solid year.
Oh, great.
And then I dropped off. But now I'm back to, I don't walk 5 miles a day, but I do walk every single day.
There you go.
Yeah.
I hear you. Now, are you doing any weight training?
I haven't. I had at one time, and I'm just starting back. So
Okay.
I had a lapse of, actually, this is also during the pandemic. During the pandemic, I don't know why, but I didn't do any weight training.
Okay.
But
Because I wasn't around.
Yes, because I didn't have you. I didn't have you, and I hadn't seen your arms to give me an incentive. But when I saw your arms the other day, because you had something sleeveless on, and then I was looking at my arms. Okay, so this isn't my skin, but it could be my skin.
No.
I could show you. That's the other thing with weight loss. Tremendous weight loss is that there's a lot of loose skin.
Yeah.
Around my belly.
Many of the people who lose weight via the gastric bypass surgery regain the weight and more.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So you are, oh my gosh.
Well, actually, one of my inspirations, I read a lot about people, and I saw, but Al Roker was someone who wrote about it, and I didn't even really know this when he wrote about it, and he said, you can eat your way out of a gastric bypass. And that's what you just described, that, people lose, more than 100 pounds, and then they gain that back and even more.
Yeah.
And
because your stomach, after a certain while, your stomach expands again.
Yeah, you can stretch it out. And even though they tell you there are certain things that you're not supposed to eat. So, for example, before surgery, I was on a protein diet.
Okay.
I think for 6 weeks.
Okay.
Just protein drinks, and that's it. And I pretty much stuck to that. But before I started on the protein diet, there were things that I gave up.
Okay, like what?
Sodas.
Okay.
I was drinking. This is crazy, but every day I probably consumed a case of sodas.
Really?
Yeah, a case of sodas.
Wow.
They were diet sodas, but they were still sodas.
Yeah.
And one of the things that on the gastric bypass at the time that I did it, that they said is you couldn't consume any carbonated beverages. So I decided to eliminate sodas. And then the harder one is I also decided to eliminate sugar.
Yeah. Well, those two are key.
Those were huge.
Yeah.
Those were huge.
How much did you lose after giving up the sugar and the soda?
It was a slow weight loss, but I think I lost between 30 and 50 pounds in a 3-month period.
Wow. You hear that, people? Give up the sugar and the soda if you want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will have to say that and then I was a protein diet before, a liquid protein diet before these protein drinks, and then afterwards, also a liquid protein diet for just a couple of weeks. Okay. And then they, with the nutritionist, they taught us what foods to eat and what foods to avoid. I mean, I think, besides sugary stuff, no fried foods, was the big thing. But they also told you that, and you couldn't digest those things anyway, but they also told you people would make mistakes and eat them, and initially your body rejects it. Yeah. So I did. Here's my confession, 2 really horrible confessions, and Al Roker helped me through this, is one, I went to a Warriors game and I had a churro. And they're like laced with sugar.
Yeah.
My body could not digest it.
Oh man.
And there's no other polite way of saying this, but it went right through me.
Oh my goodness.
And Al Roker tells a story about how he ate something unfortunate when he was at the White House, and he had to go in the White House bathroom, and let's just say his underwear was ruined. Wow. And he had to try to clean himself up as much as possible. I mistakenly thought that I was just passing gas and nothing was coming out until I got home. I took Bart home and stood up, and then I was going to take an Uber, but from the BART station. I was living on 35th then, and I'm like, no, I've got to walk because I can't sit in my in my stuff. And I got got home and, had to clean myself up because I couldn't, obviously I couldn't. It was a combination of something fried and sugar.
Oh my goodness.
And then I had another incident at when I had some little fried chicken sandwich at Kentucky Fried Chicken with a biscuit.
Ooh.
And that one, fortunately, I was actually headed to 24 Hour Fitness to work out.
Mm-hmm.
I took one bite of it, and I was in the parking lot of 24 Hour Fitness and threw up. So
wow.
I was happier that it came out in that way in terms of the other messy way.
Yeah.
But now I and through the work with the nutritionist, and it's like I said, it's been over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer binge eat like I'm supposed to, and I'm also very picky. If I go to someone's home, I don't allow them to serve me food. I serve myself because I want to control the portions that I have on my plate and overcome my father's wisdom to me in growing up to make a happy plate. My plate doesn't even have to be clean, even if I have small portions on it.
That's what I'm getting. That's what, it's always been eat everything on your plate.
Exactly.
Eat everything on your plate. And so even now I'm still getting to okay, I don't need to eat everything.
Right.
But then there are times when I say, oh, where there's an all you can eat, and then I'll just fill up my plate, and where some people will go back over and over again, I'll just fill up my plate and say, oh, well, I'm just going to eat this and not go back.
Good strategy.
But it's still a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that I do is I have all vegetables, mostly,
You don't eat any meat at all?
Actually, no, I'm not. I'm a vegan.
You're a vegan, okay.
And so, but there are levels to this because there are people who, well, I call them starchitarians, where they don't eat meat, but they eat a lot of starch.
Right. And
that puts on the pounds too.
Yes.
So, I'm not a starchitarian. But what I will do is I'll eat lots and lots of vegetables, raw and cooked, and mostly raw, because that the fiber in the raw vegetables seems to work best for me. And I'll eat, if there's an all-you-can-eat buffet or something like that, the first thing I'll do is I'll fill my plate with greens.
Beautiful.
And then layer on top of that. So there'll be, if they have carrots and broccoli and all of that, then, my plate is real pretty, but it's full. It's full. And, and that way I know when I get full, I'm not eating an abundance of calories, because there are not a lot of calories in raw vegetables. And so that's kind of my how I psych myself out.
I like that. I'm gonna implore some of that. I do. I need to eat more vegetables. Both of my adult children need to eat more vegetables, particularly my son. But I need to eat more vegetables, and I could probably eat larger quantities of the vegetables and less of the meats and fish. Yeah. And I drink a lot of water.
That's good too.
Yeah.
That's key, because there are lots of people, and as we age, we don't necessarily want to drink a lot of water.
Really?
Yeah, because one, you got to go to the bathroom all the time.
Yeah.
But then two, it's a lot of seniors are dehydrated because they just don't. You lose the taste. You lose the desire to drink, and so you can go hours and hours without having anything to drink, and then the next thing you know, you're dehydrated.
Right. And that has happened to me. I mean, I was actually walking in September of 2021 and passed out and hit my head against the curb as I was walking.
Oh no.
And later found out I was dehydrated and I hadn't had any protein.
Oh.
Yeah. So that combination, but dehydration, that's something you can easily take care of, as the protein.
Yeah.
And for me, I know that I have to use the bathroom frequently, and I cannot go through the night without getting up a couple of times and using the bathroom.
Yeah, what I do, because I hate getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I've been training myself to get all my water in
during the day.
At least, because now I'm trying to figure out, well, how many hours do I need before I can go to bed and have a good night's sleep without having to get up in the morning, get up in the middle of the night.
Okay.
And so I'm kind of timing myself, because I know that, with my body, I know that I can, when my cutoff time is. So now I'm trying to get my water in at least 4 hours before I go to bed. At least 4 hours.
Okay.
So it's rough.
I think my philosophy is I start drinking water when I get up, and if I know I'm going to go to bed and go to sleep, I will have a glass of water even before that. But just continuously drinking, I'm continuing to have my water philosophy, but I would just rather have 8 ounces of water minimally every hour all through the day, and inundate myself with water.
And see, that's good, because I'm a chugger.
Okay.
I have my thermos, and I know it's 40 ounces. So if I could get 2 of those in, then I'm doing good. In addition to the foods and the water that I get from vegetables and fruits and stuff.
Right.
And sometimes I'll have tea, and I don't count that in my straight water. But I'll be like, I'll feel the thermos, and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to get this water in, and then I'll just chug it. Count the swallows.
I've got one of those fancy water bottles that's tied to an app in your phone.
Wow.
So it measures my water, and then it's got a little thing around the base that if I haven't had a sip of water within an hour, or I'm behind my pace of drinking water, it flashes.
What? Modern technology.
Yes, modern technology.
Wow.
I'm into tech, even though sometimes I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But that helps me because all of a sudden, I'm around and the water bottle starts flashing, and it reminds me, or even if I don't see it, I'm with other people, they're like, why is your water bottle flashing? or it sends me a note on my phone.
Oh, wow. Get out of here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So there are all kinds of ways to
do it.
Yep, to stay healthy.
Yes. I mean, you could even, put notifications on your phone every hour to say, have water.
Wow.
Water.
Yeah, I know that we should make it a point when we get up to drink at least 16 ounces of water before. Yeah,
I didn't know
get
that.
up.
Okay.
Yeah. That's typically what I do. When I get up in the morning, I go and do my workout, and then I come back home and take my shower, weigh myself. And
you weigh yourself every day?
I weigh myself pretty regularly.
Okay.
Because I want to I'm doing some research in terms of how weight is distributed, what foods my body is loving, what foods my body is saying, girl, I don't think you need to eat that anymore.
Yeah.
And how it's reflected on the scale. And I don't have a regular scale, I have a Tanita scale, and it gauges your weight. You put in your height and your your height and your age, and then it determines your hydration,
wow,
your BMR, your BMI,
yes,
your body fat, your lean body mass, your fat mass. So it's pretty in depth,
right,
in terms of the assessment of your body composition. So that is why I'm keeping track of that, because as postmenopausal women,
mm-hmm.
I don't want to blame everything on menopause. I think that there are a lot of things that we can do that can aid this process. And I know that when I'm hydrated, I don't have night sweats. So there are things that I can do without the aid of hormone replacement therapy that will allow me to live vibrantly as I age. So.
And have you done any of the hormone replacement therapies?
I have not.
Yeah, neither have I.
I have not. And I was kind of fearful, because during the time that I was going through, there was a lot of controversy about hormone replacement therapy, and the women that I knew, this is just not a conversation that's had in the Black community.
Right.
And so, and we tend to distrust the medical, the medical profession.
Right.
And so, the people that I had as mentors did not, and gave their reasons why they did not. And so my whole viewpoint of menopause was not as profound as what people think of it as today. It was just a matter of fact. It was a change of life. It was another transition, and it was something that we're all going to go through, just like puberty, only in reverse. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I didn't think of it as being a traumatic experience. At one point, I welcomed it, because there are lots of benefits to menopause. Not having a period and buying sanitary napkins, for one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It is a big one. How did you have any conversations with your mom about menopause?
I did not. The first conversation I had about menopause was, I believe, this year, with you, in Imagining Justice, and a group of people, including men. Mm-hmm. My biological mother treated menopause, actually not even as much as she treated my starting having to have a period. When I started to have my period, she gave me a pamphlet, I think that was from, a box of, it wasn't tampons then. We had the sanitary napkins, and it had a pamphlet about starting your period, and she just handed it to me about that. With menopause, she didn't tell me anything about menopause at all. And we had a on again, off again relationship. When I came out to her, she literally did not speak to me for 2 decades.
Oh my goodness.
And then we came back to one another, but we had many other years of not speaking to one another. So, and I don't know why I didn't think to ask some of my elders. I had lots of women in my life, but I didn't think to ask them, nor did I think to talk about menopause with any of my contemporaries until I'd finished with it and had the conversation with you. After we had that conversation with it on Imagining Justice, I went to my close girlfriends and talked to them. I talked to my experiences with my friends who are my age and older. But during menopause, didn't talk to anybody.
And because you don't know what you don't know. And because no one tells you about it, it's like, you have no idea. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of conversation that goes on about puberty, in preparation for puberty and your period and all of that. But with regard to menopause, not so much.
And I also didn't know, now that I'm talking to people about it, I have my aunt who is in her 80s. She's going to be 84 on July 15th.
Wow. Happy birthday.
Tells me that she still has flashes every now and then, even though she's, been finished with, she's postmenopausal, I mean, for decades.
Yeah, I've talked to lots of women, African American women, about that very thing, and we do tend to experience menopausal symptoms for many years beyond the cessation of our cycle. And because there's not a lot of there's hardly any research done on African American women, we don't know why that is, via society and the environmental issues that we have. And that's all. It's all a result of the stresses that we go through as African American women in these United States. So I don't know that this happens to women in other cultures, and that would be something to explore, definitely. So, wow, Kiki, this has been an amazing conversation. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Have you?
Very much so. It's been good, and I'm going to be happy to share it with other people because, we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I am talking about it now, but
Yeah.
in the past I haven't talked about it.
Yeah,
So this is great, and it's
it's
great talking to you.
Thank you.
And I
thank
learned
you.
lots.
Yeah. Well, me too. This is why I love having these conversations, because each one teach one. Educate a woman and you educate a nation. And so thank you so very much for having this
Thank
conversation
you, Betty.
with
I appreciate
me.
you.
It's been fabulous, and we'll have to do it again.
Yes, crazy sexy menopause.
Crazy
Yes.
sexy menopause. And thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed this session. If you have any questions for either me or Kiki, please leave them in the comments. Let us know what you think about this session, and always remember, it's your life. Live it well.